PLC. Also, department hosted a local emergency planning committee meeting, the reorganizational meetings June 15th, which are all required by law. Also, department completed reimbursement documentations to FEMA for the winter storms that impacted Caroline County. The department's also been very active in working with the Boy Scout Jamboree for this season. Also, they will be participating in the North End Nuclear Power Drill in July. And as far as training efforts, we have had several CPR and first aid classes, one to include the sheriff's office. And we had two individuals from the department who completed the ChemTrack trainer program. And as far as operations, the department responded to 172 fire calls, 367 EMS calls during May. And Saturday for the month had been our busiest time. Also, we're very proud to say that thanks to the work of our staff, that we did receive a Homeland Security grant in the amount of $575,000, the SAFER grant, which will provide 100% funding for 2 years for 5 previous frozen fire and EMT positions. So we know it's 2 years, and you know, we'll take our 2 years, and we will have to address it later. But for 2 years, we know that we can have some improved services. Okay, and that's all I have. Next, we have the communications and technologies.
Mr. Chairman, very briefly, representatives of the Technology Committee met last month to hear a presentation from a firm, NWT, out of Maryland, with regards to their prospects of bringing broadband to the county. That proposal was viewed very favorably, or that presentation was viewed favorably. We're just waiting for them to actually come and put together a proposal, which we have not seen yet. We've also, in that meeting, discovered that there are local firms within the county that are trying to do the same type of thing, so we may have more than one alternative, and we'll probably schedule another technology meeting for next month. And that's basically it. Okay,
thank you. Finance and Recreation.
Mr. Chairman, the planning director, of course, he's on vacation, so I don't have a report from the planning section. Recreation, I don't have a report from that area either. As far as finance is concerned, finance director's been working on reconciliations in preparation for the 2010 audit, and the preliminary audit field work begins on July the 14th, which is tomorrow. She's also been working with several departments on the purchasing policy and establishing and developing, and once it's been approved by all involved, we'll be able to go forward and bid on a purchasing card system. And I think it's something we've all been looking forward to for some time now, and hopefully it's pretty close to happening at this point. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Economic development, utilities in Town of Port Royal.
I think we've heard enough out of utilities today, but did want to mention that this past July 3rd, Port Royal had, of course, its annual 4th of July celebration. Part of that celebration was the dedication of Herbert Collins's historical portraits that are now housed in the town hall. I was lucky enough. I want to thank Mayor Long for her presentation, and she welcomed everyone, and also Ms. Cleo Coleman with Historic Port Royal. They did a fantastic job, and we had, I guess, about 50 or 60 people actually crammed in that hall, and it was definitely an interesting time and a lot of fun. I got to speak as well. They asked me to speak as well, and that was actually a very good big thrill for me, because I got to talk about Herb and his collection, and that's something that all of Caroline County can enjoy, and I hope that people will go see those portraits, because it talks about historical figures here in Caroline, and showcases them as well. I've already alluded to McKesson, our Fortune 14 company that's coming to Caroline. Carmel Church Station, we have the environmental impact study underway with that, I guess now the Flying J restaurant is now become Denny's Restaurant, and they will be open 24 hours a day. Caroline County will be hosting a business law class, basic business law, at 8 a.m. on August 13th at the Visitor Center, and the class runs for 2 hours, and tuition's $29. You can register by phone, or you can visit it on visit caroline.com and check business classes. Also, something that's also a little more near and dear to my heart is the Visitor Center will be actually hosting the National Scout Jamboree travelers as they transfer from their long-haul buses to the secure buses that take them onto APL. We are expecting extended hours of operation, and anyone interested in obtaining some Jamboree items can actually buy them at the Visitors Gift Center. So that's pretty exciting for us as well. Also like to mention that Caroline County had the only declining unemployment rate in the region for the month of May. We went from 8.7 to 8.4% unemployment. I know that's still high, but compared to some of the other areas, I think we're doing better now. Hopefully that'll continue to decline as the economy also gets better. So that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Popowitz. Town of Bowling Green, Mr. Seeley.
Yeah, for Town of Bowling Green, as Mr. Thomas mentioned, the long-awaited billboards are up. Mr. Mansfer spoke about those. Everybody in town's excited about that. And also, just to mention that the new town council was seated 1 July. So we have a couple of new members on town council, so maybe in the future we can get together with the Town of Bowling Green and meet the new folks that are there.
All right. Thank you very much. Next, we have item 3, appointments, Board of Zoning Appeals for Port Royal District. Have we had any success with that?
I have not chosen a successor as of yet,
Okay.
so
Bring it back next month? Next meeting, excuse me?
next meeting will be fine.
Okay. All right, the Board of Equalizations, I think we have one already, is that correct?
Yeah, I've appointed Beverly McDearman at our last meeting.
Mr. Akers, did you
I
appoint one?
reported mine,
Okay.
Jim Fulham.
All right, do we have others this evening?
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Roger Bunting, and he's willing to serve again.
Roger Bunting?
Bunting. He was on there.
Okay,
Is that a motion?
Well,
if you would hang on to that
Oh,
thought.
can't get them all.
Mr. Popowitz, did you have one this evening?
No, sir.
All right, and I do have Sarah Gordon. Sarah Gordon. So we do have the two motions would be in order.
I'll make a motion to accept the two nominees.
Second.
Motion made and properly second to appoint Roger Bunting and Sarah Gordon to the Board of Equalization. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. All right, motion carries. All right, Emergency Services Commission for Mappin District. Mr. Thomas, you ready to proceed on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Frank Chapman has asked or is willing to be reappointed, so I would make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Frank Chapman.
Second?
Okay, motion made and probably second that we appoint Mr. Chapman to, once again, to serve on the Emergency Services Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carried. He's the only original member left. So, good for him. All right, next, the Rappahannock Area Community Services Board.
So that one,
Let's see, do we have,
she didn't want to come back.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Collins has made a recommendation. Obviously, that's at the will of the board, but he has given you a name to consider.
all right, I see Linda Garrison.
She's the one who doesn't.
She's the one who
Yes, that's correct.
does not want to serve again. And I think you may have had it in last month's. Do y'all see it?
Now, I know that Mr. Collins called me, and I don't remember the name of the individual.
It was in last
in last
month's,
month's?
well, last meeting's,
Give me a second.
Name is Fonville Day.
okay, that's right.
And Mr.
Is it Fonfield Day? All right. Have, I guess I know, I had talked to Mr. Collins, you know, he did say that he knows this individual, you know, and as far as he knows, you know, fine citizen, you know, in Caroline County. She lives off Route 721, Sparta Road, and I'm not sure, it's probably in the Mackinac District. It's close in there.
Right side
So-
is Mackinac, left side Bowling.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know of any reason, if it's a recommendation from Mr. Collins.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and probably second to appoint Fonfield Cop Day to the Rappahannock Area Community Services Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, motion carries. Item 4, consent agenda items. Board members have any items you need to pull, or a motion would be in order?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull G, H, and L.
All right, any objections? So is that motion to approve everything but G, H, and L?
So moved.
And P is the Love right turn lane.
Second, behind, yes.
So I make a motion.
Okay.
I'm so moved
All right,
to accept the agenda.
and
the
Mr. Eggers,
consent
your second?
agenda.
All right, motion made and probably second to accept the consent agenda items with the exceptions of G, H, and L. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, item G. Okay, Mr. Seeley, you have a question?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. You know, in all the agencies that we have in the county, you know, they all have needs during different times of the year, and I think that the sheriff's budget at this point in time should look this early in the budget year to actually take on this expense. I think it's a little too soon in the year to pass it to us for the general fund, and I think it's early enough in their budget cycle to be able to look for these dollars and actually make this expenditure.
Okay, I did talk to Major Mosier, and he is here, and well, I understand this particular system has failed.
I understand, and I'm just saying that we have other agencies with budgets smaller, that we have them, it comes out of their budget. This is early in the budget cycle, and I think there's time to budget in this cycle for them to actually take on this expense. These are areas that the sheriff's office has taken on the responsibility for, and it falls underneath their budget.
Okay, the board will allow Mr. Major Mosier's here, and maybe he can help you with your question.
And Ms. Roselle, you're correct. The system did experience a electrical storm or some type of failure in the dispatch center, and it was an emergency. We initially had it on a capital improvements project, planning for the replacement of the system. It was due after the 5-year, the maintenance agreement and the contracts on the system will expire in April of 2011, and so we did not plan for this failure to occur. We were going to limp along and try to save the money as best we could, but with this failure, we had no other choice but to go forward and try to get the approval from the board to make this happen. We're currently got the CAD up and running. The records management system is not still up and running. We're currently doing everything by paper, and I understand your position about trying to find the money. We're looking for the money as well. We've been able to identify almost $101,000 worth of funding through grants and some other funds that we had available for this very project. We've been trying to find money for the last 2 years to try to get this project off the ground. So unfortunately, it hit us at a bad time. Jeff, Mr. Seeley, you may remember the storm we had in Bowling Green the other night. That's exactly when it happened. So we're hoping that we can get some money recovered from the insurance company because of the storm, and we've presented that paperwork to Leslie as well to try to recover the damage that we received based on the storm. And we're trying to get a statement from the actual company that looked at the equipment to give us some type of indication of what type of situation caused this failure. So,
And my real concern is that it's early in the budget season for all of us, and from our perspective, we're already a little behind the eight ball, and what I was hoping is the sheriff's office would try to find the money in their budget for this for now, because I'm reluctant to, if we start with $55,000 on the 13th of July, almost $56,000, we start adding up in another column additional expenditures, and I know that this won't be the first and it won't be the last. And since we're early in the budget cycle, what I'd like to see is those agencies that are just starting their budgets try to find these sums now early and adjust their budgets, because I think we're in for a long year. We don't know what fuel prices are going to do. There's, right now fuel is coming down. It's being kind to all of us. I know there could be some savings there, but I'm reluctant at this point in time to say, oh yeah, let's go, we'll go ahead and pay for it out of the general fund when we have the 13th of July, we're 13 days into the new budget year.
whether you pay for it through the general fund or we find it in our budget, I assure you that it has no bearing on our budget. Just this year, we're going to return, I believe, $125,000 from our budget to the county. So we watch our money,
Okay.
whether we spend it or not.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Hagan.
if this had been an operating budget request that they'd come in and asked to be increased, I could buy Mr. Seeler's argument. This is a capital project. This is a capital improvement issue. It is something that happened that no one had control over. If they have returned $125,000 to the county, then they have more than returned enough to pay for this $55,000 system. Okay. So I think we are dibbling over nothing here, and I think we need to go ahead and approve it.
Could I go next?
Sure.
Sure, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Major Moser, I saw this and I kind of read through all the material.
Yes, sir.
And I understand electrical storms and computers probably don't work well together for the most part, because I've been on the dead end of one before.
Yes, sir.
So I understand the urgency of replacing your server right now. What it concerns me is the process. I'm not saying it's you, I'm not saying it's the county, but somewhere the process is broken, because in this report from I guess the sheriff, dated June 30th, it says that you knew in September 2009 that the record system would no longer be supported.
That's right.
Right.
That's correct. And
So-
that's what I based my grant on.
Right.
The $59,867, as well as an additional $12,000 grant.
And I want to say you did a great job in getting that grant. I'm happy and I really appreciate that. And since you saved $120,000 in last year's budget and you're giving that back, I'm not really going to quibble over
Yes, sir.
this $50,000 we're talking about. But I think the process has to be fixed, so we know you've got computer equipment that you rely on that is going to be not supported at a given time. This should have been approved in the capital budget period, and you should have had that money right away.
Yes, sir.
So since it didn't get approved, that was, I guess, our fault.
I don't know if we can blame the sheriff.
No, I'm not
Because
blaming anybody.
I think our staff pulled it out because the money wasn't there to do.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying the process is broken. We're not trying to say it's your fault or his fault.
Right.
If we know these things, then when we do our deliberations on the capital budget, we can say we have no choice.
Yes, sir.
Theoretically, we always have a choice, but theoretically, we have to do this. That's the only point I want to make sure that we make, and maybe he needed to come to us to say, I got to have this, but if they knew in 2009 this system was going to be offline, we should have done something to work for it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm saying we should have done that. And since you did return some money, I
Yes, sir.
would be kind of hard to say, no, you can't have some of it back.
Well, there's a lot of processes that aren't complete, and one of the PSAP funding as well. We were trying to get additional funds from the PSAP. I just met with them in Chester, Virginia yesterday, and they prioritized their funding through the PSAP, and one of the priorities for them was actually the GIS system, which the Sheriff's Office was able to secure $150,000 in grants for your GIS system. I would have much rather spent it on the RMS system and the CAD system, but it's a matter of priorities, and if I can't get that funding for the Sheriff's Office, I'm certainly not going to look away and not get it for the GIS system. So, you know, we're working with the PSAP as well, and I met with one of the grant individuals yesterday, and he's going to give me a call about this particular failure. Unfortunately, I think once we get it, we can't supplant the existing budget, but there's a lot of different things we need to look at and maybe prepare better in the future.
We need to get a couple of $25 surge suppressors, and that's really the key. But the other thing is, you already got this because it was delivered July 1st.
The emergency CAD server was delivered as an emergency purchase, yes, sir.
You already got that, so.
Mr. Chairman, I make a
Okay.
motion we approve H. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve H. And I'm G. I'm sorry, G.
G?
Yes.
Gee, I'll second that.
Motion made and probably second to approve item G. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Thank you, Major. All right, item H, Mr. Seeley, you want to pull?
Item H, yes, Mr. Chairman. I know that you did not meet with the school board chair this month, so I guess maybe that's how it ended up in the consent agenda, but what I found interesting is it looks like the school board received an additional $300,000 in state funding for school year 2010-2011, which means that we have to amend their budget by an additional $300,000, which of course we weren't told about in the course of the school deliberations looking at funding them, and they came to us we spent a great deal of time actually going back and forth about how much additional funding we were going to provide them. I think in lieu of this, there should have been a meeting of the minds between us and the school board, and actually they should be telling us how they're going to spend the additional $300,000 since it was such a haggling point.
284,666.
284,666. That's an interesting number.
Yeah, let's
And
either
I'm
give a
really-
dollar or take a dollar away from it.
I'm just a little reluctant to just blanketly approve an additional expenditure to the school board at this point in time.
Right, the additional revenue was from state.
Looks like it's all from state. And I don't know how they've done the allocation, all we know is we don't have any additional information here that tells us why or how they're allocating this. So I guess that's my other concern.
Okay, are you asking to put this off until we get those answers, or is there a timeline, Ms. Ashby?
Well, and one of the things that we could do, Mr. Chairman, is we could actually withhold withhold the additional funding, county funding. I just think we need to look at options early on in this process.
Mr. Chairman, one reason this is placed on the agenda is that we never did have a number, a solid number to identify for education. And I'm asking Ms. Hatcher to come up because the question was just raised, do we have to approve this number in order for you to begin the process of closing out the books, or can it wait another meeting in order for the superintendent to come before us to explain what the expenditures are going to be?
It can wait for the next meeting. All I know is in talking to our auditors, the Board of Supervisors they do have to adopt the school board's budget. We have adopted what we had for preliminary numbers, but they did not adopt their budget till June 14th, which was the day after, the week after we adopted ours.
But we could adopt the 35,896,102 and leave the the 180,769 up in the air to a later date. Is that not true?
Well, you've already adopted the first set of numbers. You adopted that when you adopted your budget.
So we adopted the 35,896,102,
Yes, sir.
and that's the number we adopted.
Yes, sir.
So right now, if we don't adopt their amended budget, they can't do anything till they come see us.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure how that works logistically, because we appropriated 11 million already, local funds.
Can we not go back and amend that budget? If it's the desire of the board, now, I'm not arguing one way or the other, but I'm just
I
saying
just
if
said
it's
how
the
we do
desire.
it logistically,
Yeah,
that's all.
desire of the board, can we not go back and amend the county general fund transfer to offset the increase that they receive from the state?
Sure.
Okay, I mean, logistically, that's how we would do it, if that is something that this board chose to do.
Right, and I think, we ought to probably discuss,
Yeah, I
with
think you're
the
absolutely
school
correct.
board, say, there is a change,
Yeah.
and that, where's the differences?
I'll agree. And I have some of the same concerns that Mr. Seeley has, is the fact that when we approved their budget based on information they had given us in the budgeting process, we approved on good faith that they needed $11 million to really meet their budget at that point in time that they presented to us. And now they get $264,666 more from the state, and they have still kept that $11 million that the county gave them. I have some of the concerns Mr. Seeley has. But again, I think we need to talk about it with the
Okay.
school board.
How come these numbers don't add up?
I know, they don't. I tried.
All right, so we'll leave this one off, and we'll collaborate more with the school board and see where their intentions are for this to be
Right.
used. All right, it's 284, 666, right?
That's what the first number says.
All right. How about item L?
Mr. Chairman, I know that we have had requests, particularly in this board packet, for speeding up processes for reasons, and I guess my question is for item L, which is for the request for an expedient public hearing on this rezoning, and I guess because it was taken out and put in RP, and now they want it back to M1, it just didn't say to me why we're speeding this process up. I guess that's my question, is why are we hopping through hoops for something that with no more explanation than the past owners took it out and the new owners want to do something different?
I think we do have some explanations in there, Mr.
There's a letter from the applicant.
The letter from the applicant just says that it was previously been in M1.
Yeah, but read the last sentence, well, not the very last paragraph sentence, but the last sentence in the first paragraph.
They're looking at,
We have prospects looking at these properties for additional industrial development.
Right.
I think that's the reason they, have asked for it to be expedited, and, in these times, I think we need to have as much commercial and industrial development that we can have in Caroline County. I don't know that we can have too much, especially in the area that we are prepared to take care of commercial and industrial development. And the common church area is one area that we have prepared.
it just begged the question why we were speeding
I
something
understand.
up.
But I think that really explains to you as to why it's being asked to be expedited.
Okay, no other questions? Mr. Popovich?
I'll make a motion that we approve the request.
Second.
Question answered.
Motion made and properly second to approve item L. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. All right, motion carries. All right, I believe it's, any other items you want to take?
You only have
You guys ready for a break?
Mr. Chairman, I think everything else is a little lengthy. I would
Okay.
take a break.
All right, we'll now, we will reconvene at 7:30.
Thank you.
All right, do you know the colonel?
Okay.
That's good. That's good. All right. We now reconvene and we will move forward with our public comment period. If there are any citizens who would like to address the board on any matter, please come forth and do so at this time. Please state your name and your voting district. And we do have a 3-minute time limit.
My name is Dolores Brown, and I'm from the Mackinac District. On behalf of the Neighborhood Watch program that we have in the Milford and Bowling Green area, I'm coming because on the behalf of the community, also the community, I am asking the board to postpone or discontinue any efforts or conditions concerning the John McSheenan Foundation, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, which is a drug and alcoholic program that wants to become at the cannery. I had a neighborhood watch meeting on June the 29th. I had but 30 people to come out to that meeting, and we had some of our questions answered. We had some that we felt like we were being run around in circles, and then we had more questions and concerns to come up. So that's why I'm here tonight, asking that this program do not come to the cannery. Also, I want to mention that I talked to Mr. Spencer. I have offered to help him find somewhere for this program to go, because I do feel that this program is needed in Caroline County, but I have a lot of concerns about it being too close to the school campus and also close to the community center where the senior citizens and other children programs that go on in that area. So that's what I've come to ask for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Brown. Are there other citizens who would like to address the board? State your name and voting district, please.
Hi, I'm George Spinner, and I live in the Reedy Church District. I'm actually
Hey, George.
below everybody else. This is in regards to recycling. Last Saturday, I tried to recycle 4 garbage cans full of recyclable materials, 3 of crushed bottles and 1 of paper. When I got to the recycling bin in Don, they were full, and they were full to the extent that I had trouble getting the items that I had into the recycling bin. In fact, half of what I tried to put in there ended up on the ground, and I had to pick it back up. 1 of the trash cans full of the recyclable bottles I actually had to put into the trash because there was no room in the bin to put them in. And this isn't the first time that this has happened, and it's not the first time it's happened since the last time I stood up here and said something about this to the board. I don't know what's going on, why these bins aren't being recycled. This is more of a common occurrence. When I go up there to try to recycle something, the bin is full, and I don't know if it's just occurring in Don or if it's occurring everywhere else, all the other stations as well. And I just think it's time somebody did something about it. I mean, I heard Mr. Akers mention about closing down the facilities once a day or once a week, and which I think is going to make it even more prevalent to get these, either start doing something to get these recycle bins emptied more frequently, or maybe just even add another recycling bin up there, and then at least you have a second one while they're emptying the first one or something. But it just gets very frustrating when, you're asked to recycle and then you try to recycle and you're not able to. You end up having to throw what you brought into the trash. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Spinner.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board. Mr. Thomas, hope you're not going to start a fight when my little girl gets home who got the pin.
Are there more children?
Oh, yes, there are more children.
How many?
2 more. I'll have to put in an advance order, please.
Can we work 2 more?
I see Mr. Armando Flores is going to be recognized here tonight. I just learned that. Mr. Flores has over 24 years of service in Vietnam, been at Fort AP Hill since 1992. He also serves on the Bowling Green Planning Commission, member of the VFW American Legion, and the Reedy Church Ruritan Club. Mr. Flores is an exemplar of many of the Fort AP Hill employees who serve on their day jobs and then go forth and serve on local government and in other capacities. The highest rate of volunteer giving of all the military bases in the Potomac area, highest per capita giving, which I'm proud of that. I just wanted to also come by and give you a quick update on some initiatives that we have designed to further our communications and our ability to work together on future issues. First, we're re-energizing our Installation Community Council, which will provide a regular forum for discussion of regional issues as they relate to our mutual interests. Both the board chairman and the county administrator are invited to be members of this council, and we will work to draw from a diverse group of community representatives to further its reach. The first meeting is planned for July 22nd and is envisioned as an organizational meeting, followed by an insider's look at how state, federal, and local experts are coordinating efforts to ensure safe, secure 100th anniversary National Scout Jamboree in Caroline County. As the second largest employer of Caroline County, the Fort AP Hill civilians, soldiers, and contractors not only work at the installation, but they also live in this county, volunteer in the county, and shop at the county's establishments. This leaves me again to underscore the great initiative of people like Mr. Armando Flores. Our initiative also to establish the Regional Joint Land Use Study, which would involve regional planning dialogue that collaboratively and candidly discusses anticipated direction both inside and outside the installation and documents those recommendations. I know Ken Perrott and my staff, who has recently been appointed as the Sustainable Range Strategic Outreach Coordinator, we're still working on that title, trying to make it even longer, has mentioned this to some of you. This joint study process doesn't take the place of any locality comprehensive plan or zoning prerogatives, but just helps ensure that decisions are made with the full facts up front. Communities and installations that have worked together on these studies have found that they set the stage for increasingly productive, mutually supportive relationships. I think this is where we need to be and hope you'll be supportive of this initiative. Ken will be working with the Defense Department's Office of Economic Adjustment on this initiative, and we expect to have more detailed proposal available in about a month. So please consider this a quick heads up. We've pledged to work more closely with all of our surrounding localities, and these are a couple concrete examples of how we hope to make that happen. Thank you very much.
Colonel, I've got
Colonel,
one more pin.
Before you go,
Catch it.
Oh, it's a test of.
okay, let me just try to explain the logistics. Is she the oldest?
She's the oldest. She'll
Okay, well,
lord
then
it
she
over
gets
'em.
a special pen because she's the oldest.
Ah, yes.
I have 2 regular county pens, and then you could save the one Mr. Akers gave you, so you'll have one for you. Okay?
All right.
We aim to avoid, we love heroes, we hate war, so we try to avoid a fight.
There you go.
Appreciate it. I'll just,
Thank you very
if you
much.
trust me, I'll toss them to you. Okay, we lost that one.
Well, we lost that one too.
I was a baseball player.
The emphasis is on was.
Was very much, but thank you, Colonel. I hope the camera was looking that way the whole
Are there any others who'd like to speak during the public comments?
time. Was.
Any others who'd like to speak during the public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll now close the public comment period. And Vice Chairman has Thomas has a presentation that he would like to make at this time. Mr. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Flores, would you come forward to the podium just so we'll be able to get a picture of you? If you'd like to bring your son-in-law along, that would be wonderful. And without a doubt, I appreciate the Colonel mentioning all the wonderful things you've done before. Mr. Flores and I, you can stand right next to him so you're on TV also. Oh, okay. Mr. Flores and I talked a while back, and I told him in April I was looking for him to be in attendance. We actually had what we called the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans ceremony, where we selected just a couple of veterans to be a token representation. I know we couldn't get them all, but